Hello all, I am in the process of doing the rest of the engine now. Need to take the bottom half of the plenum off, throttle bodies, wiring loom, any pipes that go around from the H2 cooler, which can be quite tight and difficult. I'm going to try and get one off without actually taking it from the H2 cooler, because when you put it back on, when I originally done it, it was a nightmare to get to it. So what I'm going to do is, as you'll probably see now, I'll show you in a bit, is I've got the plenum half off with the pipe, which won't go through the frame, or the throttle bodies. So I'm going to take the throttle bodies off first and then bring the pipe out. So I have to remember when I put it back together that I put the pipe round where it needs to feed it before I put the throttle bodies on. Otherwise, throttle bodies off again. Right, so I'm going to turn the camera around and show you in a bit. I've got my heater on today because it's absolutely freezing in here at the moment. So even though I'm sweating, but that's a part of being an amputee. You use a little bit more energy than what normal people will do. So everything's so much harder, especially with pain and trying to deal with pain. So I'm going to turn the camera around and show you a little bit more here of what I've loosened and got ready to virtually come off, and then I will do a bit more and then show you where else I'm up to. I'll just say the cables are off. I've got to get because it's hydraulic clutch, got to get the hydraulic clutch off in one way. I'm hoping that I'll be able to just take the slave cylinder off without anything leaking, so you don't have to bleed it when you come back to it, which I can do on my ZR14, that's not a problem. So I will give it a go. See you in a bit. Hi all, as you can see, I've got the bottom of the plenum off loose there, and the pipe I'm on about is along here, but it goes round the back of the, see from that side, around the back of the pipe, but won't go through the frame because of that thingy, that plug there. Unfortunately, with me racing this bike, I have damaged the frame in a few places. With your pride and joy, I'd take a bit more care. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the fuel rail is loose off there now, so I can get that fuel rail. It's a high flow fuel rail, and you can see that pipe is for the secondary fuel rail. So I've got that off now, and then you've got access to some of the bolts, some of them over there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it from here first, which is the top half of the throttle bodies, and then you have the bottom half of the webs there, which I'll probably leave on when I go to the end, take it to the engine builder. As you can see, one of the seals have come off with one of the injectors, so I have to make sure I don't lose all four of them. When I had to take this off, I took the 3 bolts off here. There is a pipe that goes on there to the bottom of the thingy. I'll show you on this box. You can see the pipe. It has like a spring type clip thing. Now that pipe goes onto that one there with the mesh in the inside. If I can get my finger to it, just there. Quite fiddly to get to, and also you have 2 drain pipes, which one's there and one's on the exterior side of it, which you have to take off in the same way. And then they can come clean out. They normally have a little catch thing at the bottom, because obviously when you oil your filter, especially when you're racing and you've got a very fine, well, a very free-flowing filter, you do not want to get any dust into the engine through the supercharger or anything, because it will damage it. Now, I've took the top cables off from here, the sensor that picks up what throttle you're in, and then obviously on the other side, I'm not sure which one's called which, one's the accelerometer and one's the, it's like a fly-by-wire throttle. So the direct throttle cables will not operate the webs. It will go through to the ECU, so that plug to the ECU, back to that, and then whatever you've programmed it in the ECU will then operate the throttle bodies electronically. A couple of other air sensors been taken off, and I've just got a few bolts to get off, and those throttle bodies should be off, and then I can remove this plenum a bit more to a safer position. As you see, it's a radiator inside which cools the boost, as I've spoken before. So I will get back to you again shortly. Hi, well, I have now got the throttle bodies off. A couple of difficult bolts to get to, depending on how long your Allen keys are, but if you can get short Allen keys in, you can get them in. but if you've got long ones, you might need to cut one down to especially do the job without taking the supercharger off, which is not what I want to do. It can be a bit tricky. So now that the throttle body should come off, I'd advise probably lifting up from that side first and then out. You see they're quite a heavy unit, as you see, because the accelerometer and that. I'll just put it there at the moment, shouldn't be doing, but I have done. And you can see obviously the inlet ports there. Now, I'll brighten it up so you can see. They're actually quite, look closely, but finally polished and tuned from standard, because I've had no work done to that at all. I don't particularly have any work planned for it neither. But from here, you can get the rest of the loom off. Obviously, I've got all these extension wires because of like the ignition module. I'm trying to focus on it a bit better, because the ignition module piggybacks in, so that goes to the obviously the power commander ignition module. So I'm going to get the rest of that off. Hopefully, I don't have to take the pump off for the H2 cooler. I should be able to just lower the engine down, but I just want to make sure all the wiring is all connected or disconnected from the particular areas. That is one of the pipes. That pipe is the pipe to one of the radiators there, and the other pipe, this one here, is the one that comes into this, which now we can get out and we can get the plenum off, because it feels that way. There's a bit of coolant coming out, so I've got to be careful where that goes. And as you see, it will be save me trying to connect that back up, which is quite difficult because of the frame. This cross beam gets in the way of tightening that one up. You need any more advice of how to fit a particular cooler like that? Ben Shaw at Extreme Creations is the guy who invented it and designed it and has tested it, and he will probably be able to give you more advice than what I can. I'm going to probably take this pipe off out the way, so we don't need it there, and just make it a bit lighter to come out. I have got a winch, which I'd advise using a winch and some straps to hold the engine in a position so it's not going to fall to the floor, and you can suspend it as you loosen the bolts off, take the bolts off. This particular engine has a weird way of bolting it together. As you see, there's two top bolts, one there and one there on each side. The bottom ones are quite weird really, because you've got the engine mount there and there, but if you take them off, you have to take the swing arm off. It's on one big plate at the back. If you can see, you might be able to see underneath. So there is actually bolts that go that way into this plate that goes behind there, into the engine, which is the ones I'm going to try and see if I can get access to get that engine out. Otherwise, rear subframe off. Now the rear subframe is not hard to get off on these really, once you've got it to the level of state I'm in at now. It seems like a lot of work, but I'm making sure that I am not going to try and do any shortcuts and break anything. So initially, once I've got it out, I'll have a better idea of if there's a quicker way of doing things, which there always probably is, and someone was bound to know what a quicker way is than myself. I've just got to check that all these pipes, everything's out the way. Also note on the throttle body, some of these which are bolted in, you don't have them all on the bottom here, because there is some that goes straight through the top of the bottom half of the plenum, straight through the throttle body, straight in, because you can't get access to it. This is one, I think those are the other three, and then all the others individually come out at the bottom of the throttle bodies. Right, I'm going to get off and see how far I get now. Hi again everyone. Sweating a bit. It was a little bit more difficult to get out than what we first expected. Because I was expecting it to be something a bit like a ZX10, pretty much easy in and out, but the way they've done it, because of the trellis frame and the single-sided swinging arm, makes it a bit more difficult without actually taking the swing arm off. So what I had to do, to make sure I got to the bolts properly and didn't miss anything more than anything, I took the rear subframe off, obviously all the wiring loom off, the throttle bodies are already off, the chains loosened off, and I'm going to show you now where there's 4 bolts that normally you probably wouldn't think that's the way of taking part of the engine out. Now these are right difficult to get to, especially if you don't take the subframe off, and especially if you haven't got the right. The 14mm bolts, they're not thread locked in, so once they've cracked off they should be all right to come out, except for the last one because of the weight of the engine. But I've strapped the engine up with my winch in the rafters with 2-ton ratchet straps, so that's easily going to take that weight. And my winch takes, I think this one particularly takes about 600 kilos, this one, the other one's about 300 kilos. So I am going to turn off and turn the camera around so you can see, and I'll show you where those bolts are and what else I have had to do, and hopefully we can lower the engine down without any other wiring attached to it. We will soon find out. Hi, as you can see, I have took the rear subframe off. Now the rear subframe is from there, this is the bolt that takes it out, which has got a bit of weight on it there for some reason. Oh, that's because this is a bit too high. Should lower this because it's lifting everything. Right, there you go. See the engine actually slowly coming down. Hopefully there's nothing else in there. But the bolts I'm on about, there's one there, bolts into the back of the casing there. One here to the side, as I say, they're a bit difficult to do with the subframe, and one there. Oh, hang on, camera right place. One there, and one on the other side near the shock, which is a bit difficult to get to. And then you have one there on each side. So hopefully, except for the chain, which I'm going to have to jiggle to get out. There you go, chain's out the way now. You have an earth strap here to worry about. It goes past it, obviously the power for the starter motor. I have removed the clutch slave cylinder off, which obviously no leaks, just comes out quite easy from the centre shaft. Just be careful you don't lose that centre shaft. One thing that a lot of people can forget about is the bottom oil pressure sensor, which you can see it's dangling there now because it's detached. We have a crank sensor, which is there, and on these on the other side you have a knock sensor, which is here, which is, let me get round to the other side so it's a bit easier, so they're trying to stretch over. The knock sensor is there. Now that's attached. Now, it's only, I think, pretty recent to start putting knock sensors on bikes. So I'm hoping that all that loom is loose. So I'm going to lower the engine down a bit and see how far it'll go before we have anything. So we're just doing it a little bit at a time. It looks like we might have something here. Potentially worry about. Yes, it's a bit of a pipe. Sorry for the rattling around the camera anyway. There's just that pipe there. This particular rubber pipe was attached to there. So it looks like the engine's pretty much loose now, as you can see. I'm just checking as we go along. Yeah, I think that water pipe should be disconnected. That water pipe's disconnected, yeah. I'll take that off at the other end, take a few bits off once we've done it. Yes, that looks pretty much out. Yeah, that's out then. Good old heavy old lump. As you see, I've put 2 ratchet straps, one doubled round under the sump and this side of the exhaust mount. Oh, I still haven't took the oil out. Normally I leave them in for the engine builder so you can see how the engine's been reacting while when he drains it, you see if there's anything in it. But this case I will take it out before I drain it out before I drop the engine properly. And another ratchet strap I brought round under this engine mount. You have to try and feed it through every side of the engine because it's tight on the frame, obviously, and around the other side as well. And just to be secure, to make sure it doesn't tilt one way or the other, because as you see from this side, there's those bolt holes. One there, one there, and one there, one there,
and you've also got clip wires here. You also have always on this particular bike, you have to take the side stand mount off. One bolt comes here, which is a nut on the other side there, and then you've got two bolts that are bolted to the other side of the engine, and because they're bolted to the engine you have to take them out, so you have to take the side stand off, which is a bit unusual for sort of things. But as you can see, the reason why I did it that way is this plate, which it bolts to, has got the swing arm going through it. So it's a little bit finicky really in a way. I'm thinking, well, I'd have to take the swing arm off, then I'd have to mount the other onto the, you can mount them onto, they say the nearest one, but because these welds, it's welded, but they're only welded on each end, they're not fully seamed, so I didn't want to put too much weight on it, so I thought we'll go through the swing arm mount. If I had to take the swing arm off for any reason, I would probably use some form of axle stands, either on solid foot pegs, ratchet strapped down, or under the sump with blocks of board and stuff like that. So anyway, I am going to shut off now. I am going to drain this oil, get this engine onto a board, ready to take it to my engine builder to have a look at. Potential issue we've had with the oil pump guide chain. We think there is as the oil pump shaft goes through from one side of the engine to the other, on the side where the clutch is, which is this side, I've already changed top, bottom sprocket, chain, guide, nuts, bolts, washers, everything, but it still keeps wearing the plastic guide, so we think something's amiss further in the engine, which is causing a bit of side slap on the shaft, which is then slapping the chain onto the guide, which then makes it looser, and then it's slapping the cassette gearbox. Quite easy gearbox to get out of these. I've done it before. I've changed 5th and 6th gear to be a bit taller on this particular bike. So anyway, that's it for now, and tune in next time. Well, there you go, H2 engine out, totally out. 3 evenings with the subframe off, exhaust wheel, everything obviously, to get the engine out, ready to go my engine builder to be checked over. 3 evenings, I suppose, not too bad for someone who's a bit like me, a lot of pain. The engine's there ready, or strapped up on a trolley, ready to go. And he will have a good check over the oil. I took the oil out. There's obviously still residue oil and coolant in there somewhere, but he'll sort all that out. He is pretty meticulous with his work. He used to be, well, he was Shaky Burns engine builder, and raced for obviously Paul Baird Racing. He has his own business called Rev to Race, and does a lot of superbike engines, track day bikes, you name it, the works. Even with me, with my road bikes even. So there we go, that's ready to go to him. Can't take it to him until Wednesday because I think he's moving into a new unit, so there's no point taking it for him to part strip it. So my job will be now over the next couple of nights is wrapping up all that carbon, getting all the carbon away and putting all the bits together in one place, because I will get that H2 frame, once I put a wheel on the rear, off the ABBA stand, and I will get it parked up out the way on the paddock stand, because obviously the side stand's now removed, and I will get my drag bike in there ready to do winter maintenance and modifications. And on here I will have my road bike being built on here. The engine, the ZR14 engine for that is there, ready to go in, or been done by my engine builder, been checked over, any parts that was damaged that have been done. We've had a bit of head work done to that, a little bit of polishing ports, and not much though. And my frame, subframe and swing arm are underneath that cover at the moment. So I will be winching that up onto the bike lift, and I'll be securing that so I can actually fit the frame over the top of it.
I am putting a 2016 loom in ECU, so I can use the rotary pot system that is on the later version. That bike is actually 2013, so it will be interesting to do. So that will be another, you know, in the next few days or so. So I think I'll be signing off now. Desperately need a shower. Desperately need some rest actually. After 3 evenings of that, I find it not too easy doing too much work like that. But as I say, I do not want to sit back and do nothing. There's if you bikers out there are looking for anywhere for information for adaptions and that, a group called the National Association with Bikers with a Disability in the UK is ideal, and they do adaptions and grants for adaptions and stuff, and have all the information available. Unfortunately, the stuff I use is a lot more expensive because obviously I use it in racing as well, and I need to have all the adjustments I can get out of it. So I will sign off instead of you just looking at a picture of my H2, and I will sign in again shortly with hopefully this all tidied up and the start of the build of my road bike. Okay, thank you for watching. Goodbye.